HEAL Study Level Metadata, Part 2, Completing the Metadata Form. Welcome to Part 2 of our video series on HEAL Study Level Metadata. Part 1 of this series covered the importance of the metadata form and how to find it on the CEDAR site. This is linked in the video description below and available at bit.ly/HealStewardsYouTube. For Part 2, we will review some important tips and guidelines for completing the study metadata form and provide clarity for a few of the fields that may be confusing. General overview of the metadata form. To find the form, go to the Shared with Me tab and find your metadata form. To open the form, double-click on the tile. There are 9 metadata sections. By default, when a metadata form opens, all 9 sections are expanded to see the questions. You can collapse a section by clicking on the section name, shown in green, and expand it by clicking again. Collapsing sections will make it easier to navigate the form, especially to get to the Save button. Almost all fields will allow you to choose from existing data terminology. For example, you can select an option from a drop-down list instead of typing it into a text box. Selecting from pre-existing data options lets us harmonize the metadata you enter so it's comparable to metadata from other studies. For many fields, you can choose more than one option that applies to your study. These fields will say Select Options. As you click on options that apply, they are added to the list in the field. To remove an option you have added, click the X to the right of the option. For some fields, the list of options is longer than what is visible on screen. Be sure to notice whether the drop-down has a scroll bar so you can select from the full array of options. For long drop-down lists, you can type a string in the box to filter out options that begin with the character string you typed. This is a very long list that does not include all of the options even if I scroll down. So I will type THY to find the option that is thyroid cancer. You can save an incomplete form. Even after you've completed the form, you can return to it and revise it as needed. For example, you may want to update several fields in the Data Availability section if your research proceeds at a different pace than expected. Guidelines for completing the metadata form. Save early and often. Save often to make sure you don't lose any metadata you have entered. To save, scroll down and click Save on the bottom right of the form. You can save often while entering your metadata. It will not close the form or redirect you. An important note is that the CEDAR site will do a timeout that logs you off automatically after some time. A key detail is that it will not save any changes when you time out. So, if you need to step away or move to a different task, be sure you save your changes first. The good news is that if you try to navigate away from the form without saving, it will remind you to save with a pop-up. Pre-populated metadata should not be edited. Some fields are already populated with data from NIH. For example, study title and study description. also NIH application ID. You should not need to edit these fields. If you do find a mistake, contact us at heal-support@datacommons.io to update that field. For multi-part studies, include metadata for all parts. Many investigators have projects with different aims, and there may be different study efforts to target each aim. For example, perhaps one aim will describe a study in animals, and another aim will describe a clinical trial in humans. In this case, choose metadata that describe all aspects of your study. All metadata for all the aims and study components should be included in a single metadata form, even if one piece of metadata only describes one part of your study. Using my example from before, under Study Subject Type, I would select both animal and human. Many fields will let you make multiple metadata selections to make sure you're describing all aspects of your study. Complete everything you can. The metadata form is designed to be completed even before data has been collected. Most of the metadata are information that was described in the grant proposal. Some fields will need to be updated over time. For example, data collection status will need to be updated from not started to finished over the life cycle of the study. For fields like these, select the option that reflects current study status when you're entering it. Most fields are applicable to all studies, but a few fields may not apply to your study. If you come across a field that seems to not apply, you can leave it blank, although check the guidance document at bit.ly/heal-CEDAR to verify first. Fields that do not apply to all studies will be clearly indicated in the guidance document and in the tooltips to help you determine if it applies to your study. For example, in tooltips such as this, you don't need to complete all the fields at once, and you do not need to work sequentially through the form. You can skip around if you need to look up some details. Work on what you know now and return to the CEDAR form later. Just remember to save. Use the guidance documents to be sure you understand the fields. The metadata form has 9 sections, as shown here. We will not go through each section and field in detail in this video. However, it is important to refer to a detailed guidance document at bit.ly/heal-CEDAR. On this page, clicking on each section's link will open a detailed overview of each field in the section, explaining what information should be used to respond in this field and how that field will be used to make your data more discoverable. While the guidance document is recommended for all sections, it is particularly important to refer to it when completing fields in the Human Subject Applicability section. 2 points we want to emphasize are, first, all questions in this section, except the last one, are fields that will apply to your study, even if your study is not a human subjects study. So all of these apply. This one is the only one that may not. Second, the fields in this section are asking if your study has any particular applicability to specific human groups. Only mark a specific population if your study has special applicability to that population. If you're doing a study that seems like its conclusions would apply equally to all of the population options, then do not select any. It does not have particular applicability. Please read the guidance document for more details and examples. Sometimes it's easier to complete a form if you can see what information is requested. There is a PDF overview of all fields in the metadata form, as well as all the possible responses for each field in the Data tab found under CEDAR Form sections. You can find it here where it says See Full Metadata Model in PDF. This document has each of the 9 sections and each of the questions fields in each of the 9 sections. After saving the form. Once you have saved, your updates should be visible on the platform and available for public search within 24 hours. Where can I find more information as I'm completing my CEDAR form? The guidance document is an excellent resource here at bit.ly/heal-cedar. You may also reach out to us at heal-support@datacommons.io with any questions. Please note that both the form and the guidance document could be updated over time. If the form you are looking at does not seem to match the language in the guidance document, this is probably the reason. Please reach out for assistance if there is confusion about how to complete the form.